Hello everybody, this is Gabriel with an update on the cryptocurrency market. Things are developing really nicely here in this new month, and let's have a look here at the Bitcoin chart, the monthly chart, just to touch a base. So after this the last exponential move into the end of the year 2017, where Bitcoin hit the $20,000 mark. Since then, we're basically in a very long stretched consolidation, right? And this consolidation, well, after such a move, the market needs a rest, a pause, or a refresher in order to break to new highs. So this is what we have basically seen here during the last couple of years. And as you might remember, I've made this a long-term buy signal. I've called that out here with this bar back in end of July, when price actually broke through this important resistance line. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at this consolidation on the monthly chart. Let's have a closer look by zooming into this weekly chart here. All right, so what we see here going back in time is this big consolidation. This is basically, that's a gecko pattern, system 1, that has triggered an entry up here with a stop down there. So this stop was never threatened, so this trade is still on. Well, shortly after that, there was another pattern of the same type as S1, which is a pattern within this overall pattern. So whenever two patterns come up one after the other, or as in this case, one within the other, well, this adds a double pressure and accumulates even more energy for another move higher. Well, this spike here is the Corona scare dip. Well, this dip, this wick low, has not threatened the original stop. Right? This has actually triggered here a second entry on this pattern. So as this chart developed here over a couple of years, we can actually see that overall that unfolds these two S1 patterns is an overall S2 futures system S2 pattern, the turtle pattern, that has actually created here a big test bar that is required, touching the angular test line. And with this with this long-term buy signal in Bitcoin, this has actually triggered the entry into this pattern. So what we basically hear is we have three patterns accumulated at the same time, and this actually adds triple pressure, right, to this breakout. So let's have a look here, zoom here into this breakout we had in July. It had a nice follow through, though it was not able to run over this stop run level, and there are two higher, so there are three stop run levels nicely aligned and clustered. So this price activity, the bulls only tested this level and then just shied away, which is not uncommon, right? And what we see is, well, we get a picture perfect pullback into the 21 moving average, the blue line, a pullback into this very important psychological level, or the $10,000 level, and a pullback testing support of this important support and resistance line. So since then we have actually developed really nicely, slowly and steady up momentum. I would have liked actually to see a deeper pullback in order to trap some of those bulls, but we basically saw kind of a well-sized pullback, and that's sufficient for this to make a sustainable uptrend. So let's now have a look at the daily chart. So this is the daily Bitcoin chart, and with cryptocurrencies, work very well with patterns, right? Pattern recognition. And we can see here on the daily, well, we've got another S1 pattern, and this pattern, and we've got there was another pattern before, that's an S2 pattern, right? So that's a pattern after a pattern, and on lower time frames, I'm not going into detail on these, we've actually seen a series of patterns, like one following the other, and this shows a lot of strength in this early uptrend. And I'm more convinced than ever that we have actually started here with this breakout. We've actually started in July, that we've actually started a second exponential up leg here in cryptocurrencies, starting with Bitcoin. Now let's have a look at the 240-minute chart. So here on the 240-minute Bitcoin, so that's the last S1 pattern that triggered. We see here other patterns. Well, that was on a 15-minute chart, but overall, like here again, we've got an S2 pattern. So we can see how markets are really fractal, and we get patterns like all over the place. Patterns within the same time frame, like one after another, or pattern within a pattern, and we have patterns in different time frames, like this one here. I've just drawn and plotted them here. So these are patterns in 2 time frames lower, and this is always great if you have an overall pattern. This one, that's an S2 in the 4 hour, and then once it starts to trigger and develop momentum, well, we get additional patterns in lower time frames. And this typically, what this does is it allows you opportunities to scale into this early uptrend move. And this was a picture perfect, S1 that allowed you to actually scale in and build up a really nice position. Now let's have a look at Ethereum and then at Monero to get a different view on cryptocurrencies. Well, here's Ethereum, which is one of the macro caps. Ethereum has actually shown strength early, like very early, beginning of 2020 S2 pattern, followed by another S1 pattern, followed by another S1 pattern. So we see again here clusters of patterns building, and in an early uptrend, well, this provides a lot of confidence. This is going to be a sustained move and uptrend. Here just recently, or just right now, we have triggered an S1 pattern. That's an entry signal with a stop down here in Ethereum on the daily chart. And we can see that how more and more cryptocurrencies, even the altcoins, are joining the race, right? This is one of those coins, altcoins. It's Monero XMR versus the US dollar, and it's another plain vanilla S1 pattern. And we can see how nicely once the pattern has triggered, the stop run and how the slingshot develops. Now this is the daily chart. Let's have a quick look at the weekly. And zooming out here on the weekly chart, we can actually see where this momentum move comes from. Well, it comes from breaking an important stop run level, right? Back here in mid of last year. Now, this is the Corona dip, right? And it's actually really nice what it did, because this Corona dip broke to a new low. This was the last low here back in time, and this dip cleared out the market. It cleared the weak bulls, and it's very, very important. I've noticed that back then when it happened, and it's always a good sign, because this this actually allows, this represents the base, the 0 point for a new uptrend to unfold. And we've seen that here. I mean, there were multiple opportunities in lower time frames to actually start with a small position and build into it. We are still at a very early point of an uptrend, right? You can see it nicely. It has consolidated tremendously. That's what the altcoins do. So it went from 500 basically down to in the low down to 30. Well, it's a huge pullback, but a huge pullback allows you huge increases as well, right? So all this together, like from 2000, like for the last 3 years, this is a huge pattern on the weekly chart, and this pattern has just started to trigger. It has taken out the first stop run levels. It's this one. This is the first level. Now it's taking out the second stop run level. Well, there are more levels, right? We've got here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if this is the pattern, well, we expect prices well above the pattern, right? Like a break of the pattern high. Well, that's just the start. That's when the trend actually accelerates. So here for Ethereum, well, I'm expecting much higher prices. Well, we never know if we actually get there, right? But anyway, there's a lot of potential for prices to develop really nice up momentum, just because we have got these stop run levels nicely clustered. So this was a key moment, right, in this chart, this break to a new low. And I really like to see these things. We've seen break to new lows in a couple of other altcoins, And if you look at the charts, well, you can see that they developed really nicely too. So this was just an overview, so you get an idea what's going on. So to summarize this here on the Bitcoin chart, well, we can see that this breakout, this long-term entry signal, was confirmed by a nice pullback, finding support at the cluster level, and now we start to rise again. So that's basically the second leg after the break of this level, and we see a patterns forming in lower time frames. So all this supports that this is going to work out well on the long side, and that this last high is going to be broken, stop run level, and there these other stop run levels are in close proximity. So I wouldn't be astonished if we now see Bitcoin to move in a nice constant with nice constant buy momentum towards the $15,000 level. So as Bitcoin has started to move, my market type is basically bullish, and this means that other macro caps like Ethereum, but as well altcoins, are starting to join the race. And now it's time actually to start invest in cryptocurrencies over the next couple of years. Just to remember, the target for here, the near-term target for this overall pattern is the $25,000 levels, and then what comes next is the 100,000. Well, we never know if these levels are going to be matched, right? But we're going to see some nice buying momentum, and it would be a pity if you don't capitalize on these moves too. So my recommendation is to start small, start with $100, $500, $1,000, and just make your feet wet. Thank you.